All right, welcome back, Gimba. You may want to rephrase the question.
Yes, I was just trying to see how you could reconcile that challenge that we have if the Minister for Interior did come out to say that we don't have, as long as he's concerned, we don't have issues with our borders. And you say we have issues with our borders and that they are porous, and this may just be a perpetual problem if we have the borders not secured.
Well, you've just said it. He's the minister. What else again do you expect him to say? If our borders were well secured...
To say the truth.
Yeah. If our borders were well secured, the issue of insurgencies would not be, even there in the first instance, would have been able to pick them up at a jiffy. Because definitely they're coming through a particular route. They drive their vehicles in, they pervert their havoc or mayhem, and they disappear. How? They must drive through somewhere, across somewhere, and out of the country.
Can we man the borders?
Yeah, the borders are, well, except if you want to do what the American guy is doing, and put a big wild fence all around and create that big block. But that would cost us some good billions. Not just in Naira, but in dollars. To put it all around the country, like the Great China Wall all around the country. But even if you do that, definitely there'll still be some leakages. But we need to have what we call patriotic Nigerians who think of the country first before themselves at the borders, our immigration officers there, who will ensure and go beyond what they're expected to do to checkmate anybody who is coming in without the prerequisite. That's a visa coming to this country. If you don't have any reason to come into this country, you can't come in.
Could you give us a little, shed some more light on what you mean, or what you meant when you said that we need to be more security conscious? We need to see security as our business,
yeah,
and not just that of the uniform man. What specific roles should we be playing?
Yeah, in the last 2 years, there's this campaign from the National Orientation Agency going, see something, do something, or say something if you can't do something. Yeah, it's a campaign is going on. Now, that's what we expect of every individual, you and I, including our children. I'll give you a good example now. You go off to New York in America. You ask a group of children playing some ball, soccer somewhere. Did you see a yellow cab go past? The child will tell you, a 4-year-old boy playing there with his fellow colleague. I said, yeah, I saw the car. There was a nigger inside the car, and they drove that way to the left or to the right. I believe they're going down the boulevard that way. Now, somewhere in London, you see a group of children, same age, the same thing. They say, oh, the guy must be a Nigerian. How did I say Nigeria? The way he was shouting inside the car, laughing. You know, Jamaicans don't laugh that way. Definitely Nigerians, for some reason, they are always happy people. Come to Nigeria, ask a group of 4-year-olds, did you see a vehicle? They say, anti-ball, you buy ball. Did you see any vehicle? Even ask an adult. The adult will ask you the question, do I look like a policeman? Why are you asking me that question? Now, until we change this orientation, that's what I'm saying, which must be taught right from youth in our schools, we should change the curriculum, where we can now infuse. I remember when we were growing up, we took things like civic in school as a subject. Why can't we now infuse, from the Ministry of Education, to teach security as a subject? And that would now begin to inculcate a new way of life.
Isn't there a more serious challenge wherein even those who take it a lot more seriously, when they volunteer information, usually boomerangs.
Yeah.
So that, some say, just escalates and just comes up, feeds off this general apathy, or informs the apathy that happens. So isn't that a more serious problem?
I'll tell you what, the reason is that they give the wrong set of persons this information. We've said it before, if you must give information to the police, either use the PMB bag there, you go down to see the DPO, the Divisional Police Officer of the police station there within your locality, or at worst, the DCO. Any of these two senior officers would not want to put their career in jeopardy by leaking out, divulging this information to a third party who is not meant to know, because information is on a need-to-know basis. You can walk into any state commission, that's the Commissioner of Police, and demand to see the Commissioner of Police. The only problem there is that it might take a bit of your time. But if you do wait, you will definitely meet with the Commissioner of Police.
That is a problem. That it will take my time is a problem.
Why? It may.
It may. The reason being that, don't forget,
you know and I do.
Yeah.
You know and I do that the wall that you have to, the walls that you have to surmount to see these big men, so to speak, you know, the DPU, and sometimes it's you know these things.
But you see, it's changing now. Policing is changing now because they have been taught, they have been told that times have changed. And I can assure you, if you're bold enough to walk into any police station, you can try it anyway. Just demand to see the DPO. The people at the counter will look at you and they ask you why. It says, that's a personal thing. When I see the DPO, I'll let him know what I've come for. When they see the countenance on your face and they know you're serious, they'll usher you in.
But will people have to wait until they see either the DPO or the DCO? Isn't the police supposed to be the police?
Yeah, it is meant to be. Now, don't forget, even with Christianity, thank God in the period of the Easter break, even with Jesus, after the 12 disciples, there was a Judas. Now, in the police, they also have moles. The policemen don't fall from heaven. They came from society. The society is not totally good, so you don't expect the police to be totally good. The police is actually a true reflection of the society.
You know, one of the campaigns that in the recent past by the Nigerian police force is the phrase, "The police is your friend."
Yeah, they're meant to be.
You said they're meant to be?
They're meant to be.
Are they not friendly to us?
Well, I'm not the policeman. I'm not holding brief for them. It all depends on your approach, on how you get down there. For the senior officers, you don't have a problem with the police. The problem with the police, which I am talking from your own perspective too, I'm like you, are with the junior officers, the rank and file. Those are the people that are giving the police a problem, not the senior officers.
But people say they have a right to demand a good police if they're paid from taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
But they can't get a good police. They should get a good police.
And that's why we should report anything, any odd behavior, any erring officer to the senior police officer. Just take his name and his rank and take it, pass it on.
Do you think it's serious enough when people consider the police and asking the questions deep inside them that the police are our friends, really?
Are they our friends anywhere in the world?
Is it them against us still?
It's not really that. I think it's a thing among the police because they are meant to be the closest of the armed forces, as it were, to the citizen.
Now, Mr. Maha, we have another 4 years in this post-election.
Yeah.
It seems like every so often security challenges evolve, they change.
Something pops up.
Something new comes up.
Yeah.
A few months ago, we were talking about, Fulani cattle rustlers and all. Next thing, we're talking about kidnapping. Next thing, we're talking about armed banditry. Now we're talking about kidnapping and all of that. Sometimes I'm concerned whether or not there are security intelligence or security, I don't know what you guys call it, that can project, that can foresee that, okay, this is likely to happen and this is how we can deal with it.
Yeah, you just said there is security intelligence. People also forecast. We see these things come up. But the truth is that when this information finally gets to the doorstep, to the office of the NSA, what does he do with it? Now, the NSA, as the name connotes, National Security Advisor. His job or her job, whoever is in that office, is to advise the president on security issues. Collates information from all the security agencies, be it the military, paramilitary, everything, put together like a summary, like when you have the summary of what the daily say, and passes everything to the president. Now, don't forget, advisory. The president may or may not take it. It depends on the mood of the president and what he seems or perceives about the information being
How about the quality of the advice given to him?
Now, that's another thing again, and that's why you should know who you're going to pick as your national security advisor.
No, is it just about the NSA? Because, look, we've had politicians who are screened because they're usually screened by Secret Service before they get into positions. And some questionable ones have scaled through eventually. Yeah. Because there was one time in the Senate where the man, he was the top cop in the police, and he said, I know this, this, and that. How did they end up in this kind of places? So we've seen several of this cases. So that's the quality.
Yeah, you see, it still comes back again to the same thing. Government involvement in the selection process, now, politically. Now, you see, there's no way we can kid ourselves. We can talk from now to tomorrow, like, until we have that political will to say, no, enough is enough. We go back to the basis. Even today, with the elections that have just gone by, how many of us actually voted based on eligibility? Either than for other reasons, either because we were settled, we were paid for, or things like that.
Doesn't government select from those who have been trained in the job?
Yeah, okay, now it comes again to the quality of training again.
Oh, okay.
Do you think the security chiefs, because there was a time when the president of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, alluded to the fact that if we have security chiefs that are not up and above board, they just may need to rejig or change those security chiefs. Are you in line with that thought that perhaps if we're not getting the desired results, they be changed?
Yeah, you see, there are two things about it. I clamor for change because it's not in my own interest. That isn't clamoring for change. I'm being selfish. I'm clamoring for change because it's not in the interest of the country. It's a different form of change. I tell you, if you look at and compare security chiefs between Nigeria and other African nations, I tell you, Nigeria has the best crop of security chiefs based on exposure and training. But that doesn't mean that training is enough. Training is still an ongoing process. We can still spend more money on our security system, our chiefs, and those who we believe have a succession process. Because it's one thing spending so much money on the guy who is in office now. What are the guy who's going to take over sooner or later? So there must be a continuous training plan for these people. But I dare say at this point in time, Now, if you can inculcate something into our polity, that before you can vie for an office, you must have gone for a 3-month security course. Now, it may seem strange. Now, when you go through this course, it's not going to carry arms, but for you to be able to appreciate what security is all about. Spend maybe a week or 2 weeks in all the agencies. And INEC would have certified you okay because you must write an exam. That you understand the runnings, the nature of all the security agencies. So when you get into office, you will know how best to make use of these agencies.
Do we have a long-term...
I'm sorry. Then as a follow-up to that one also, if you're not in total agreement that there's a likely change that must be effected for the security chiefs, when you look at Zamfara State, for instance, and then the perpetuity of the crisis that is happening there, and the police has come out to put a stop to mining activities, but just a few days later, after that was instituted, we had attacks in a complete village, completely different from where the mining sites are. What do you think is playing out in Zamfara?
You already know the answer. It's still politics. Individual, personal politics and greed. Now, some persons in this country believe they're above the law. Some persons believe they're above the nation. And that's why I still talk about the issue of the political will. Now, it goes beyond that of the governor. Now, the presidency...
This is beyond the governor?
Yeah, that goes beyond the governor. But what's happening in Zamfara? We never knew much about what's going on until the issue of mining came in. I started reading the papers, oh, there's gold in Zamfara. No wonder there's so much clamor. Everybody rushing down to Zamfara State. But who owns the mines? I mean, who owns what is on the ground, the minerals in the ground? Does it belong to the state or to the federal government? And this is where the federal government has come in. But when you talk about and leave the resources to Zamfara State, then it becomes another issue. Because the oil you find in other states don't belong to the states, it belongs to the federal government. So any mineral you find below the surface of the ground, beyond a particular level, usually 6 feet and below, belongs to the federal government. So the federal government has its own responsibility to ensure peace and tranquility returns back to Zamfara.
No, my question is, why then do we have a resurgence of violence in places where the mining is not taking place?
Yeah, it's a diversion tactic. People will do anything just to divert people's interests and sight, so they forget what is going on there. Then they go back again to it.
How much then of our security challenges are political?
I will not say all. A couple of them are economical. But if you look at it and drill deep down, it comes back again to politics. Because if you now have the right political atmosphere, ensuring that we channel enough economics down working, either for the public sector or the private sector, I think more people will be more engaged meaningfully, and that will reduce the time which they have for negativities.
How much then of these insecurity challenges are economic?
Now, just before when we went on the break, I asked you a question. How much have you heard about auto theft now in recent times? The crime of auto theft has drastically reduced in Nigeria. There was a time in the 70s, 80s, you couldn't park your car, even up to the 90s. All of a sudden, in the last 5 years, auto theft has reduced.
Why have they stolen enough?
That's a nice one. The truth is that nobody just has the money to buy a car. So it's economic hardship. You just can't buy a car. If someone brings you, I don't want to start mentioning brands of names now. Any of those common cars and tells you you can get it for below 250,000. Of course, it tells you that that car is stolen if it's in very good condition. Well, you know, to buy a good car now, you're looking at probably 1.5 million. A second-hand car, I mean, and not of a new one, which you probably need to break into a bank.
Okay, so do we have a long-term security architecture that can succeed, successive administrations of our security apparatus?
Now, you see, the security in Nigeria has beaten all forms of security anywhere in the world. I don't know how, just like our economy. And that's why I would personally want to advocate when we could have a security summit. Why not? Channels Television can sponsor a summit by bringing stakeholders together if the government refuses to do so. And the communique of the summit being sponsored by your television station can be submitted to the government. That's one way out, because the government needs to start off, gather people together, harness people together, have this cross-fertilization of persons, both serving, ex, and of course those in the private sector to come together and say, look, these are our challenges. What can we do? We'll debate, argue this, and come up with this issue because we are closer to the grassroots.
But
we know what the youths are saying.
That has happened in the past.
Oh, no. Those were
and then it's been submitted to governments previously.
Now, I'll tell you one thing. When we talk about these people now, we're not talking about when you begin to handpick people like that. You know the people around. By the time you go around, as journalists, you go around, I'm just trying to get, if you want to bring it up to this enclave, I have this person here, I have this person there, this person has been known because you have done some homework on the antecedents of this person and pick them. You're being invited.
Yeah, but you know what they say about government. Government has information about anything they want. Government knows much more than any citizen in this country. Government knows what the solution should be. So will they need the security
Have intelligence
summit?
reports.
They have all
And
the
government
wherewithal.
gives you what you want to hear. You need to add that to it.
So if you submit security summit, of what importance is
Now,
that going
you
to be?
see, is that now you have done your bit as a private citizenry, and now you expect government to react to it. And of course, don't forget, like we said here, 4 years, they have 4 years tenure. If they don't do what we expect them to do, then...
You haven't spoken to the proficiency of those who are engaged in banditry, the insurgents. These guys know what they do. They seem to have been trained for some of these things.
Yes, initially when they first started a couple of years ago, they were carrying crossbows, not crossbows, bow and arrows, and Dane guns. And all of a sudden, they began to metamorphose into carrying more sophisticated weaponry, being trained in moving armored tanks and aircraft carriers and things like that, as we hear. And the kind of training they have gotten so far, they're able to outsmart or outwit our soldiers. So that tells you there's something going on.
So how come intelligence, did they pick it or somebody didn't act on it?
Now, I'm sure they must have been picking it over time, but somebody was not acting on it. There's no doubt about it. Like I like to say, I hate to think about it. I want to believe, and I think I have some reason to believe. I've met a couple of guys in the military intelligence and, of course, in the police. We pick up this information. But the question is, what is done with this information? That is where the issue is.
Yeah, but why would they not want to act on credible intel?
Now, that is another thing which I am not in a position to answer because I'm not in government per se, I'm not in the National Security Advisory Office, neither am I in the presidency.
Yeah, but you may have an idea because
Yeah,
you've been
you
in
see,
this field
the
for a
issue,
while.
the issue of the idea which I've talked about, and that brings me back again to the issue of politics. Now, you see, the polity of the nation of ours is such that because I want to win an election, because I want, quote unquote, want to be populous, because I want to return back in office, because I want to retain in office, I do the things, I dance along to the tones of those who tell me, who have promised me I can remain in office, so I dance along to their whips and caprices.
Are we then helpless?
Not totally helpless, not totally helpless.
So we are
I believe there's
somewhat
hope.
helpless.
Yeah, somewhat, to some extent, yes. But I believe we can.
We are somewhat helpless.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah.
Somewhat helpless?
Somewhat.
How are we somewhat
Yeah,
helpless?
why is it what somewhat helpless is that those who can do it are waiting for the instructions. Like I said, you see, it's one thing me tell you now, go and do this now. And you look at my continents, me tell you go and do it. You will know obviously from my continents where I met, go and do it.
You mean they're not motivated enough?
Motivation is one aspect. You know, you see what we talk about in communication, have what they call paralanguage. The body tells you one thing, the speech, the mouth tells you a different story entirely. Like I ask you, are you hungry? What would be your response?
Is that with the police or the army?
No. Just ask. I'm trying to give you an illusion, an example now. I'm just trying to give you an example now. I'm asking you a question, and your answer, your response to me will either mean yes positive or yes negative.
Do you think that the men fighting the insurgency in the Northeast,
Yeah.
do you think they are motivated enough to sustain that fight?
Well, I have met a couple of people, one in particular, and he told me his experience, a very frightful, painful experience. And what he told me, well, I can't go into graphic details about it. It's real, it's true, but we need to channel enough, like they use the word motivation, resources, the kind of resources that we need to get. It's not monetary resources. I would love a situation where the Chief of Army Staff is there, he has his brigade headquarters down there, he moves his office there, all the service chiefs go down there to support and motivate the boys. Occasionally, go to the war front themselves, move around with an ammo tank. I think the boys will be more gingered. It's not a question of do as I say, but do as I do.
When you speak about communication, an order is an order,
Yeah,
even in the army.
yeah.
So which one, from whence comes this, you look at the body language. How does that play out?
Yeah, no. When I took out the order now, I wasn't talking from the army now, I'm talking of the political will. Now, somebody from quote unquote gives you an order, either from the presidency. I said, hey, go and move the boys there, get rid of that, or get rid of that. The question is it a political statement or is it a real order coming up from the CIC, Commander-in-Chief?
But if you say as he gives the service chiefs that instruction,
No.
is he going to be looking at the body language?
Now,
from
you see,
CNC?
now, you see, the truth of the matter, we need to call a spade a spade. We can resolve this issue at the border, so that's very true.
Okay, maybe we'll take it from there and wrap up and we'll come back in a moment. Don't go away. Welcome back. Well, you still insist that we need to still man the borders, but there are different ways of doing that, and we don't have to man them the entire length and breadth of the borders of this country, do we?
No, we don't really have to. But once we make the issue of border patrol a thing, then, of course, we're coming down the right spot. You don't need to have static men at the borders.
So just improve upon it.
Yes,
because
improve on the mechanism, on the patrol process of the borders.
Is it only about the patrol, maybe the border patrol guys that will have to go out there? What about the place of technology in this?
Now, technology too has its own play. Of course, you can use deploy technology to this. Now, almost everybody is using technology now. You can have the technology, of course, satellite. Why not? If not, so we mounted there. And of course, we have ways of picking up these things. I believe that as time goes on, Nigeria at this age is ripe enough to have cameras, CCTV cameras, placed in strategic locations within all the states that have border boundaries with other countries. Where as cars come in fluctuation of people coming, we can pick them up, and this information is being relayed to the necessary security agencies, be it immigration and DSS and the likes like that.
All right, okay.
I just wanted to, we started with people paying attention to security.
Yeah.
It's everybody's business. What does the viewer need to do now?
Now, if you notice anything amiss within your environs, anybody who to you does not look like a typical Nigerian, you know what I mean? You know how we Nigerians look? We look aggressive, we look confident, and if you see anybody who doesn't look confident, our skin texture different, please.
Aggressive in a good way.
Pardon?
Aggressive in a good way.
Yeah, aggressive in a good way. Nigerians, you know how we all look like. When you see us abroad, we all tell ourselves, that guy is a Nigerian. And of course, we know ourselves locally. If you notice anybody who you believe could be an infiltrator, a foreigner, pass that information to the nearest security agency. They know what to do.
Which should be the police?
Not necessarily the police. You have the DSS. You have immigrations. Yeah, but the police are easier to get to. Why not, if not? But I believe that senior police officers are watching this program now, and I want to challenge the president of the new Inspector General of Police to readdress it while talking to his major cabinet members there, the various state commissioners, to acculturize their men once again, to become more friendly and to handle the issue of information coming to them.
Because if the person if the policeman that the citizen sees on a regular basis on the roads, if the interaction or exchange is not that good, what kind of confidence will he have to give that kind of person an information or an intel?
Yeah, the policeman you see on the road is being weather bitten.
But he's still a policeman.
Yeah, still a policeman. Such information is best to channel down to the station, where you meet with the incident duty officer, or like I said, the DP or any other person there who will be glad to take such information in.
Well, that may not be necessary.
I know that people who haven't been to the police station in a long time to go there and pass that information, who don't think about doing that right now. So maybe you're asking for a change in that one. Well, I appreciate you coming on this morning. Chuks Maha is a security practitioner. Thank you for coming on. But before we wrap up, we need to just, we got this email from George. He's writing from the United Kingdom. He says, concerning the minimum wage, guys. Well, he says the new minimum wage of 30,000 naira, he thinks it will not work because most of the state governments, according to him, he says, are owing salaries in relation to the current wage. So how do you expect them to pay 30,000 naira minimum wage? Well, he just thinks that, well, that will be a challenge if it's not sorted. Well, thank you for your comment, and that's the show today as well. We thank you all for watching. Happy Easter. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain.
I'm Gimba Umar.
I'm Ayo Makinde.
Thank you. I'm Maukwe Ogun-Yusuf. Happy Easter.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.